Hello, I'm Gary Quinn, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Live. My guest today is Lisa Haisha, an author, personal coach, television host, world traveler, and motivational speaker. Named one of the top life coaches to watch by Entrepreneur magazine, Lisa has journeyed to over 80 countries, immersing herself in diverse cultures from corporate boardrooms to Bedouin caves and deep into the heart of the South American jungles. With a master's in spiritual psychology, she has transformed her global experiences into a powerful methodology which she shares in her best-selling book, Soul Blazing. Don't go away. I'll be right back with Lisa. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Thank
you. You have such an interesting background. What was basically the catalyst for you to start this journey of spirituality or life, let's say life journeying?
I think everything, Gary, starts from childhood wounds. I think with the thousands of people I've coached, that's where it all starts. And I grew up with a Middle Eastern father and an American mother, and he was really strict. And one day he got mad at me and he said, I'm going to send you to an orphanage. And I'm like, what is that? And I have 4 sisters. I'm like, I'm going to be sent away. And that's led me on a journey of thinking he was just so protective. And he had 5 daughters within 4 years apart. I'm a twin. So he was just paranoid because he worked so much and he wanted to protect us. But to me, I took it as, what if the bad guys under our roof, we're living under a Baghdad roof, that's where he was from, and the good guys are up there. So that set me on a journey of hitchhiking and only getting in the car with like Hell's Angels types and saying, why are you going to hurt me? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Why do you drive this car? Why do you have tattoos? Why do you have piercings? Why don't you have money? My dad told me to fear you. Why? And these people became my angels. Not one of them hurt me. I did about a half a dozen times. And they all were just the most interesting, kind people. And it changed everything. And I thought, that was my little experiment. And I thought, let me venture out once I moved away from home at 22.
I think everybody has this kind of epiphany in their lives that at certain ages, we have certain things that happen at home, or we go into a school, or I know some clients, were put in orphanages, or they were sent away to boarding school. But I think instead of being angry with all that, I think it's just a matter of looking at the inner self of the growth. Now, all of the things you did, it could be a movie.
Yes.
But really, I think what captures all this is your book, Soul Blazing, really about, transforming your life. What concepts, and I know that it's really the concept of imposter syndrome, and what would be the let's say the bullet point of this book? What was the catalyst that you wrote this?
Well, when I was working with clients, and I was married for 20 years, so in the marriage, anytime we'd have an issue, it was the fact that one of us was feeling wounded or hurt, something happened either in our life that day or with each other. And it's like, what do you do when you're wounded? You want to hurt somebody else. You're hating on yourself, you're going to hate on someone else. If you're loving yourself, you're going to love others, you're going to have more patience. So I started creating characters for us, saying, who's coming home? And let's see who's available with me. And we mix and match our different personalities of wherever we were. And we didn't fight for years. I'm like, oh my God, there's something here. And I started exploring these different characters through my coaching and married couples, and it was working so well with all of them that I realized that we all have created saboteurs who live on the stage of our brain that are really making the decisions for us unconsciously because we didn't clear out those childhood wounds. So once you actually befriend those imposters, is what I call them, then you could start working together and they work for you instead of against you. So instead of unconsciously thinking, I'm just dumb, I'm never going to make it in life. I'm just dumb, I'm never going to make money. Nobody in my family had money, so why would I ever make money? You start getting rid of those and saying, what's that voice? Oh, that's my dad talking. That's my mom. That's society. That's what I read in these books, and I was indoctrinated in this type of cult or this kind of hate or this kind of religion, that you could unravel it then and say, who is that? Then you talk to that voice when you have that feeling and say, oh, hey, mom, or hey, dad, or hey, cult leader, or hey, whoever it is. That's just you. It's not real. And then you could start creating your own life, who you truly are and who you want to be in this world. And it's changed thousands of lives.
Now, how do you actually identify? Because if you're not really aware of any kind of growth, or you're in a bad situation, rut or drama or trauma, how do you, is it just you hit bottom and then you realize, okay, I need to change?
You don't even have to hit bottom. You could just look at your life of where you are today and just ask yourself what's working and what's not. And then keep a journal with you. And when I meditate, I keep a journal. I did this much more before than I do now because now I could do it easier. But you just keep a journal and go, what thoughts came in my mind when you're saying, let me just be quiet? You know, your thoughts keep coming and you go, oh, there's that thought. And you write it down. You write it down at nighttime when you can't sleep. What are you thinking about? Write those down. And you'll be surprised at how many things come up there. You're going, I didn't even know I was thinking about that. And they say you have 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are negative and most of them are repeated. So you're going to start collecting those and saying, I am not going to be saying these to myself. And you do a positive reframe on them. And you just start saying those positive reframes over and over again. An exercise I give clients is to look in the mirror when they wake up and say, I love you 10 times. Write down 5 things you're grateful for and 5 positive affirmations based on these negative things. And I swear within 30 days, your life will change.
And I know if somebody does a reframe, they really have to be consistent because there's years of blocks. And
yes.
Sometimes they give up and they go, oh, this doesn't work.
Yes.
What would be some of the situations that you've seen clients that you've been able to switch that and have them have a breakthrough instead continue to be in the breakdown? That's
so beautifully put. I found that the clients it works on, including myself, because I thought, oh, all this is bullshit, you know, positive affirmations, and it took me years to get it. The thing I was doing wrong was I wasn't believing it. I did not believe I could actually have money or I could actually go to, you know, travel the world. Who was I? I was just this very, you know, middle class, simple person who grew up in San Diego, who had no contacts, no extra money. I moved to LA with like $200 to my name. So how am I ever going to go travel the world? Give me a break. How am I going to ever be a millionaire or be anything or meet the man of my dreams? Because the man of my dreams was probably out of my reach because the way you vibrate is who you attract. And you cannot attract someone outside of where you're vibrating. And I was vibrating at this lower energy of, I'm a victim, poor me, I'm here to be an actor, but I'll probably never make it because I don't have contacts. I didn't go to the right schooling. I didn't have. So you're saying this to yourself over and over again. And a coach said, say positive affirmations. I'm like, okay, I am an award-winning actor. I'm like, okay, nothing's happening. It's getting worse. So
I'm getting more depressed.
Yes.
I'm drinking now.
Now I'm lying to myself on top of it. So now I feel like a liar. And I'm telling people, oh, this is going to happen because they say it out loud to others, fake it before you marry. I'm like, now I'm just a liar. Like everyone else. Oh, I've got this movie deal coming and I've got, it's like, oh, stop. But once you sit with it and say, who is it that I truly am? Not my personality. Strip your personality away. Who is my soul? Why am I drawn to the arts? Why am I drawn to traveling? Why am I drawn to cultures? Why did that happen to me with my dad, which sent me on a trip to Iraq to go to an orphanage because that's where he grew up. So I went to Tilkap, and that's a book that's coming out soon called Under a Baghdad Roof, which will be turned into a feature film. And once I went there and started talking to these kids, I'm like, we're the same. they lost their family. They had no, whatever, the war. My father died. My uncle lost his leg. This happened, that happened. And I'm going, I have to memorialize your words. And once I said that, I thought, how am I going to do that? And that led me on a 15-country journey for 5 years interviewing orphans, which is this book, Whispers from Children's Hearts. I tell their stories in it. And then this led to me wanting to live in Spain and give my daughter that experience for first grade. Then I gave this book out to people. And then all these schools and libraries started asking me to speak. So I became a speaker. Then I became an author. And then I started coaching people because they're like, oh, well, you coach the second graders and fifth graders and this, and will you be a mentor? Then that's how Soul Blazing came about. So somehow my journey, my life path of saying, I have a gift. I have a unique gift. And I could believe that because we all have a unique gift. So why not me? So I have a unique gift. Let me uncover it. Let me unfold it. And instead of trying so hard, I have to make it. It was like, let me just be. Let me just be on I don't have to make it. Just showing up every day is making it. And once you get rid of that pressure and you could just say, I am just being today and I'm going to do 3 steps towards what I want. And what I wanted was to feel more whole and complete. So traveling made me feel that way. So I started getting these free trips. I started getting these offers. Will you do this? Will you do that? And it's like, it just happened. And
it's interesting. You said, which resonates with me, is you are the gift. And I always tell people over years that, and I don't think people really realize that they have anything to give or they feel so small. And like you said, that they didn't have the contacts, they're not smart enough, or they're this or that.
Didn't have the money.
Exactly. It's loads of excuses. Would you find that through your journey of working with people, what has been their biggest situation? Is it because they don't love themselves enough, or they don't believe in themselves, or what would be the one capsule that you would, nugget you would say that that's their issue?
That's such a great question, Gary. The nugget I would say is they have comfort addiction, which is what I teach. They are addicted to being a victim. They are addicted to the feeling of trying and failing. Their whole brand is that. And to separate themselves from that is very painful. It's more painful than changing. So they would rather be in that situation than make the change because that's their brand. So they actually have to rewire their brain and say, this is more painful than trying to make it even if I don't. Because you've met those people. I just talked to one this morning who I haven't talked to for months, but she's a friend of one of my daughter's parents. And I want to keep in touch lightly, but she's a trauma dumper. Every time you talk to her, I'm like, okay, it's been 6 months. Let me see. First thing, oh, I haven't talked to you. But I'm like, oh my God. And I told her, listen, your life will never change. If this is how you start off conversations, you're going to push people away. And long story short, I just gave her a lecture from love about it. And she said, oh my God, it's true. I have no friends and I'm going to shift that and change that. And I gave her a few exercises to do. I said, you're addicted to this pattern. It's been 20 years. And, so you have to say, I want to change. Who do I want to be? And make a list of that. I actually put pictures in my office of slices that I like of people like Audrey Hepburn, Tracy Chapman, Maya Angelou, Herman Hesse, Dostoevsky. Like I like these aspects of these people and going, let me now make me. Who do I want to be? And I'm starting to step into that each day more and more and more.
Excellent. No, I believe that. And, I think the most important thing you said was also to state I would say the intention of what you want in life, but also the frequency is the secret sauce.
Yes.
That if you don't raise your consciousness or your energy, like you said, this client is dumping on you. She's going to attract dumpies.
That's what's happened all this time. This guy did this to me. This one did that. This one cheated me. I was evicted from my house. My neighbor's picking on me. My husband's doing this.
There you go. And the biggest thing is, which I've found also, and you probably see this, is they have a hard time believing that they could change, or they really need proof first before they can switch gears.
Yes, and there's hundreds of them, thousands out there in the world, but that I've coached. And it's like, as soon as you say, I'm ready to change, and you start to shift your vibration, and you do that through meditation, you do that through nature. I don't do it all the time anymore, but I did when I was really saying, I have to change. I walked barefoot on the grass. I took walks. I hiked and just sat up there and looked at the vast beauty of our planet. When you sit there in trees, like I just did, was up north and was in the forest, you look at this and say, there is a God. There is something bigger than me. Why am I focused? I'm like an ant. I don't even matter. Why aren't I focusing on this? And you start meditating, and then that changes your neural pathways. And then you start saying your affirmations in that energy of your God self. You know, we all are children of God or nature, whatever caused us to be here. When you tap into that and say, I'm magnificent, I am the only me there is, regardless of where you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have, who your friends are. What matters is who you are and loving yourself. Because once you switch that, then you could love others and you open up abundance in your life. And it's so hard to get unless you really believe it and say, let me try for myself. But I swear, anyone who you've met in your life, no one got there by not loving themselves, and no one got there by not doing these steps. Every single person has done steps to better themselves and has focused on, I can't be me anymore. I'm going to shift me. And Joe Dispenza says something beautiful, like you have to change your personality to create a new personal reality. And that's exactly what all these steps do. They really help you shift your vibration into a higher form, higher frequency.
Now, if someone, and I know there's a lot of people out there that have this where they switch into, they believe it sometimes and then they don't believe it.
Of course.
And it's like 50-50. What would be the one thing you could say to them? How do you stay in that 50 upscale energy? What would be the main nugget that you would say you must do this every day?
I'd say what I said earlier, saying that I love yous in the mirror, your gratitudes, and I'd say exercise, because exercise shifts everything. So mind, body, heart, soul, move your body, feed your mind, give nourishment to your soul. And mind, body, heart, soul, love. I send text messages to people, I love you, and just say something sweet to random people in my circle of friends. Just, it's not their birthday or anything, or Christmas, just I was thinking about you. And that opens up your heart. If you have children, if you have parents, whatever, family, just give them love more often. You could be your last day.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot of people that concentrate on really working hard and being successful at their craft or their career, that sometimes their spiritual part is kind of small or blocked because they haven't found the balance of that energy yet, or they're trying to. But it's real interesting to see the thinking that goes through the business mind work as opposed to someone who's flowing, who's creative in that energy. You feel a whole shift.
A whole shift.
Even
people you wouldn't even think. I remember meeting Alice Cooper back in the day, like in the 80s. I was dating someone who had the studio and he was recording, and I was sitting with them, and this is Alice Cooper, who has a batshit, reputation. And he's meditating. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I've been vegan for years, like a decade, and I meditate every day. Then he goes up there, I'm Alice Cooper. So he created that character, but behind it is that meeting David Lynch. You think he's wacko. Look at his movies. He meditates all day long, and he does all this stuff. So I'm like, all these people that you don't even think about, Madonna, all these people meditate, they exercise, they focus on who am I, and they're creating this character that is an aspect of them to present to the world, and then they're themselves. But they can do that because they're so in touch with their heart and their soul. They know their mission. They know their purpose. Once you know your purpose and you focus on what can I give instead of what can I get, and most people, to answer that question of when they get stuck, it's because they're saying, I'm not getting enough. Why aren't I getting the show? Why aren't I getting more money? Where are my friends? How come people aren't helping me? How come I can't pay my rent? It's, what are you giving? And that was happening to me in my late 20s, I went to volunteer.com and started volunteering and teaching writing and reading to the homeless kids. And that helped shift me tremendously because then I met people through that. Then I got asked to speak and, da-da-da-da-da. Same with this book, going to the orphanage to say, why did my dad say that to me? Exactly. Why wasn't I wanted? Let me talk to other kids who feel the same way. And that led me on a whole journey to everything I'm doing today. Did I think that? No, I was giving back.
Yeah. Have you found, Lisa, that when you travel to different countries that there's a download that you receive, whether it's karma or you've been there before in another life? Is there an energy that you go, I've been here before?
Yes.
Or, I always get that with messages that I go to these countries. Do you really, what's been the biggest country, or let's say the most powerful country that you felt, ooh, wow, there's a download. This is a huge, there could be several, but what was the top three?
Yes, several. Iraq was definitely one of them. Cambodia, I met someone, Scott Neeson, who worked for Spielberg and all the big movies that were over 100 million. He went around the world to advertise. And then he took a vacation. He worked like 350 days a year to Cambodia, and he saw all the kids there. And he quit everything, sold everything, his planes, his cars, his house, and started building up an orphanage there. And I went and stayed there with him. And that was just like, I belong here. I was sleeping on the linoleum floors with the kids and playing with them all days, going to the dump sites and carrying hepatitis C babies across these fields. And it was just like, this is home. It was so easy for me. People going, how could you do it? I'm like, how could I not? It was easier for me than trying to get a movie made or going to auditions. It was just natural for me. So there was something there. And I would say Cuba. Cuba was just, oh my God. I got out of the car at 9 p.m., met my soul family right there, this group of guys, started talking with them, told my husband, I'm going out with these guys. He goes, what are you doing? Let's go to Cuba. I'm like, you go do that. I'm with my family. He's like, what the hell? So we went out with these guys, stayed out till 4 a.m, had a blast. A couple of days later, when they were friends with the Buena Vista Social Club, started watching them perform in the studio, then going here, everywhere. They were top musicians there, just happened to be. And he's like, I've never seen that in my life, how the bond was there. So there was something there. It was like mutual, that it was just like, oh my God, they were like waiting. Hi, you arrived. And it's like, yes, I'm finally here.
How do you want to be remembered when you leave this experience?
That I gave people tools and permission to love themselves enough to make a change in the world and bring their authentic soul to the party.
What does love mean to you?
It means encompassing everything, every person, every idea, every thought, every negative, every positive. Everything happens for a reason, and we're here as spiritual beings having a human experience. Even the fires, I had to load my car. It was frightening, and I'm looking at the immense fires like 2 miles away coming. It was like you saw, like dominating the whole sky, and it's like, oh my God. And you're look at the beauty in that, look at the magnificence, and you're saying whatever happens regardless, and it's tragic and all of that, not saying it's not, but it's what we're supposed to experience right now because we are experiencing it right now. So that's a part of my journey, whether I like it or not. And if you embrace it and say, okay, let me grieve. This is the sorrow. Here's the pain. Here are the people I lost. Here's whatever it is that you did. I lost my home. I lost everything. But then you look at it and say, okay, now what? What's the lesson in it for me? What can I teach? What can I give back? What can I do? There's something really powerful in that.
Wow. What does God mean to you?
God means that there's something bigger than us and a reason we're here. And it's our job to figure that out and be in touch with our highest selves, our best selves. So he's always just a reminder, the word God, that don't live a small life. Don't think you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, that you're not attractive enough, you're not rich enough. Don't focus on that. Focus on, I am God and I am a piece of God. That means I'm magnificent, and start changing those thoughts and our whole world will start shifting because it always starts with you. So if you are God and then you treat the next person like God, then they'll treat someone like God, because it has a ripple effect. You know, the old saying of the husband comes home mean, then he beats on his wife, the wife beats on the kids beat on their pets, you know. So it's like it trickled down. So if you're just starting to be the light and everyone's the light around you, think of what a kind of a world we can have.
And it's interesting that on the back of a dollar bill, it says, "In God we trust."
Yes.
You know?
It's like, what? Are you sure about that?
Exactly. I told that to a lady in Japan, and she goes, "Why would they put that on a money?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Last question. If you could go back into time and ask one question of someone who's not living, who would it be and what would you ask?
Who would it be and what would I ask? It would probably be Herman Hesse. And the book Siddhartha really changed my life. And I would want to ask what things in his life brought him to a place of such genius and trust in his voice to be so strong and passionate, and I think really shift the world, because it's still changing the world today. What was that seed that said, I am going to create this and get your act together enough to make it as good as it is, to really look at each word, that he could change the world forever. I just think all his books are so powerful. Narcissus and Goldmund changed my life. I read them over and over and over again. And it's like, how many books do that to you? Out of all the books, you know, my whole life, those are the ones I read in college, and they're still affecting me today, and I'm still thinking about them. So the power behind the word, how do you get that vibration and keep it and be brave enough to say it on the page? Because it's a lot of, you know, not pretty stuff.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Now, Soul Blazing, you can pick up a copy on Amazon or in your stores or on your website.
Yeah.
And if people want to get in touch with you on Instagram, they can follow you. Information is up on the board. And thank you so much, Lisa, for coming in. It's a pleasure, and I know Soul Blazing is really blazing a lot of souls.
Yeah.
And you also have the Las
Spanish.
Siete Mascaras, the seven masks.
And
you
the
have
workbook.
the workbook Me. Oh, that's great. The journal. And
people
those
were
are all on
asking
your
about it.
website and the
on-
children's book.
And on Amazon.
And so it's a great pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep the flow, and you will continue to glow.
Thank you.
I'm Gary Quinn. Thank you for joining me for this special episode. Until next